Meatless Monday is a simple idea. One day a week, cut out meat. This small change in our diet is good for our health and the health of the planet.
City officials joined students at the school today to announce all 1,800 of New York City public schools will now have no meat Mondays, meaning healthy, all-vegetarian breakfast and lunch menus once a week.
If you're thinking about our kids individually, we want them to be as healthy as they can be, and we want them to learn as well as they can learn.
Reduce the risk of heart disease, of cardiovascular disease, of diabetes and cancer.
Recently, New York announced that all of their public schools are going to be participating in Meatless Monday. This is supposed to be in an attempt to get kids to eat healthier, to help them learn better, but there's just one problem. There is nothing wrong with meat. It is an extremely important part of our diet, and especially in children who are developing. Planting this seed that meat is bad in children is harmful on so many levels. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kate. I'm a health coach and I post videos on a high-fat, nutrient-dense way of eating. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe. So at first glance, this may seem harmless. They're taking meat out of school lunches one day a week. What's the big deal? The problem lies in that they are wrongly demonizing meat and sending the wrong message to children.
What we show our children, they are going to duplicate it through elementary, middle, high, and college.
So I have two main issues here. The first one being that they are making claims that are not backed or are backed by science that isn't credible. And my second issue is what they are replacing the meat with. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the claims that they're making. They've made all these little Instagrammable photos, I guess, for people to share. The first one we're gonna look at says, decrease your chance of getting diabetes by about 15%. Just skip a serving of meat every day and replace it with a vegetable protein like black beans or tofu. So for several of these images, they have resources linked. Not for all of them though, just for some of them. So for this particular claim, they linked a meta-analysis that was looking at 12 different groups of food and their association with type 2 diabetes. So I looked into the studies they cited for meat and type 2 diabetes specifically, and surprise, surprise, they were all epidemiology studies relying on food frequency questionnaires. Now, if you're not familiar with what food frequency questionnaires are, I'll put a sample one up on the screen. So basically they ask you to remember the amounts of food you ate from different groups over the last week, month, year. Yeah, I think you can see already why these aren't accurate. If I asked you to recall how many serves of pork, for example, you've had over the last year, do you think you could remember? Take a look at this study from a couple years ago, looking at whether memory-based dietary assessment methods, which is interviews and surveys such as the food frequency questionnaire, were accurate or not. Their conclusion was that given the overwhelming evidence in support of our position, we conclude that memory-based assessment methods cannot be used to inform national dietary guidelines. Basically, they had overwhelming proof that this method isn't accurate. And if this method isn't accurate, then all of the studies cited for meat being linked to higher rates of diabetes have no weight. The next claim was, most Americans eat 1.5 times more protein than they need to each day. This is not true. They are most likely referring to what the RDA is. The RDA is 56 grams per day for men and 46 for women. But this is based on men weighing 155 pounds or 70 kilos and women weighing 125 pounds or 57 kilos. This is certainly on the lower end of the spectrum for what most people weigh, even if they are at a healthy weight. If men were to follow this recommendation, they would be getting less than 12% of their total calories from protein. And for women, that would be less than 15%. The recommendation for fat is between 20 and 35%, and that means that the remaining about 65% is left for carbs. This is insane and goes against the last claim saying that reducing meat consumption will reduce your diabetes risk. If there is one thing that has been shown time and time again to reduce your diabetes risk and to even reverse diabetes once you have it, it is low carb diets. So we can only assume that getting the majority of our calories from carbohydrates is going to increase that risk. We should be getting 1.6 grams of protein per kilo of body weight, which is double what the RDA is at 0.8 grams. So no, we're not eating too much. We are eating too little. The next claim is people who ate legumes 4 times a week had a 20% lower rate of heart disease. So this was one of the ones that didn't have any studies linked. There were a few other of these little pictures making claims about beans being equal to meat in terms of protein. This is not the case at all. I have done a whole other video on why plant protein is not comparable to animal protein, so I will link that up above if you want to check it out. A small 4-ounce steak contains just about all the B12 you need in a day, and this is something you cannot get from plants at all. Iron is another nutrient that is a lot more easily absorbed when we get it from meat than when we get it from plants. B12 and iron deficiencies are 2 of the most common nutrient deficiencies in the Western world. And just take a look at this comparison between kidney beans and beef. They really do not compare. Okay, so let's move on to my second concern about Meatless Monday, and that is what they want us to replace the meat with. So this movement is actually funded by a whole bunch of fake meat companies, Beyond Meat, 𝗠𝗢𝗥𝗘. Try saying that with a straight face. And when you look at these companies' ingredients lists, it is just crazy to me that people can think that something like this, with this huge ingredient list, with toxic oils, with soy protein, sugar, and numerous other questionable ingredients. Yeah, it's crazy to me how people can think that this can be healthier than meat, which is one ingredient. So I said at the start of the video that one of the goals of this movement was to help children learn better. Well, what about the fact that toxic vegetable oils are associated with worsened memory and learning ability? These oils are found in 99% of all fake meat products. And within these oils, so canola oil, soybean, corn oil, etc., there is always trans fat. This is a result of the processing they have to go through, and it's unavoidable. Trans fat is associated with numerous chronic diseases: heart disease, obesity, diabetes, cancer. I don't think there's anyone who is arguing the fact that trans fats are extremely detrimental to our health. So in conclusion, I think Meatless Monday is well-intended but extremely misguided. Pushing this message that meat is bad to children will not only negatively affect them through childhood, but also into adulthood. Let me know what your thoughts are on Meatless Monday. Is this something you would want to participate in? Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys!